What's up guys, this is Albie T from Combat Culture, and today we've got a really cool video for you guys today where we're going to cover training gear you can expect to see at a Muay Thai gym. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so the first piece of equipment we're going to go over is probably the most common piece of equipment you'll see at a Muay Thai gym, and those are Thai pads, right? So Thai pads, you can do kicks, punches, elbows, knees, push kicks, pretty much anything you can do while training Muay Thai you can do with the Thai pad. Now these do come in different variations. Some are bigger, some are smaller, some have curves, some are straight, some have one strap, some have two strap, some have buckles, some have Velcro, like these right here. But for the most part, the most universal things about them is that they are rectangular in shape. They have a handle where you can hold on to, and usually one or two straps for you to use. If you're get familiarized with any piece of equipment that we're going to cover today, I definitely recommend familiarizing yourself with Thai pads first. It's probably the most important piece of equipment you'll find at a Thai gym. I would say that learning how to hold pads is definitely a very valued and seeked out skill, right? So if you're going to get used to any kind of equipment that we have that we're going to cover today, definitely make these the first ones that you tap into. And the second most common piece of equipment you'll probably see at a Muay Thai gym are going to be these guys, focus mitts. These are used primarily when working your hands, right? So punching, elbows, defensive drills, right? Like slipping, dipping, leaning back, all that good stuff, right? Parrying, all that stuff. Because it's a smaller target, you know, it also helps with accuracy and also helps with speed and precision. These are preferred sometimes when working with your hands or working with movement because it's a lot easier for the pad holder to kind of maneuver around, right? Throw these out as opposed to the Thai pads, which is a little more cumbersome. The difference is that because the Thai pads are bigger, they can probably take on more force, you know, whereas you can take kicks with these, you're probably going to take so many. So know how to pick the right equipment for whatever type of training you're doing. If it's any kind of speed, precision type training, these are probably the way to go, especially if you're working with hands and elbows only. But if you're working with kicks and knees, you know, heavy, strong, powerful hits, you know, you probably want to stick with some Thai pads. And in terms of design, they do come in several different variations. For the most part, they all fit on like just a glove, but they do come in different sizes, which we'll cover next. And these are the mini focus mitts. Like I said, focus mitts, they come in different sizes. These are called mini focus mitts for a reason, because they're small. Look at these guys. Now these are used for precision, right? Not so much for power, even less so than even the focus mitts, right? So when you're working with these, really it's just accuracy, speed, precision, right? Not so much power, because these are really small. And what's gonna happen is even after, you know, a little bit of training, the pad holder is going to feel a little bit of wear and tear, okay? So these, again, it's just more for speed drills, precision, and also because it's smaller, defensive drills as well, mini mitts. So the next piece of equipment we're going to go over are the striking sticks. These are probably not going to be as common as the equipments we went over at first, but you'll probably still see these in some gyms. And these are used primarily for working hands, more specifically defense. Now, a lot of coaches like using this because of the long reach, right? So, you know, in some ways you can kind of simulate a punch, work your head movement, maybe even some blocks. But also it's really good for the coach's joints, right? As you can imagine, holding Thai pads and also focus mitts all day, that's a lot of wear and tear on, you know, your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders. Using these, not so much, right? The only drawback with using these is that, you know, they're really more for precision and accuracy. Can't really do a whole lot with power. The designs of the striking sticks are pretty simple. Essentially, it's a long foam tubing. Some people do use pool noodles, but striking sticks are a lot firmer. They're not as floppy, right? So especially if you're working for defense, you know, you can whack these a lot faster than you would with pool noodle. But you can probably use pool noodles as well. So if you don't have these, get yourself some pool noodles and go at it. Striking paddles, which are these guys right here. So very similar to the striking sticks, where essentially they're primarily for hands, right? Yeah, I can imagine doing elbows on these. These things are super hard. Knees too. So primarily for hands, right? Now this is kind of a middle ground between the striking sticks and also the focus mitts, where you can, you know, probably pack a pretty strong punch on these, right? But at the same time, there's still that range. And also because of the way that it's held and designed, there's not going to be as much wear and tear on your joints as you would holding traditional mitts. So striking paddles. And the next piece of equipment are for the power punchers out there. Whereas the last couple of things we covered is more for speed and accuracy, this one's primarily for power, right? And you can tell by the design, super simple. You got two handles for the pad holder to hold, and then you have a super thick piece of foam, right? And when I use this, it's primarily to hold for, power hooks, power straights, maybe some body shots, on occasion, maybe some push kicks, and maybe some leg kicks, although this probably isn't the best piece of equipment for leg kicks. There are specific leg kick pads, that are square in shape. However, I don't own one, so this is what I use. But for the most part, because of that, you probably won't see these as often in Muay Thai gyms. I think more so in boxing gyms. But if you're training with someone that is a power puncher and they just want to let it rip, this is a really good piece of equipment to have just because of the way it's designed. It'll definitely go a long way in terms of just helping you mitigate any kind of wear and tear that's going to happen with your body, but also at the same time, letting your training partner let those power punches rip. The next piece of equipment are these coach sparring gloves. Now, at first glance, they look like regular boxing gloves, and they pretty much are, right? For the most part. The main difference between these and boxing gloves is that there's a really thick piece of padding right here for taking punches. So these are really good when you're training with someone and you want to simulate a sparring situation, right? Or a fighting situation, okay? So you can go ahead, do some drills, take some punches, and then throw some punches back, right? And have them react accordingly. Now, of course, you can do that with, the striking sticks, focus mitts, even Thai pads. But, there's a difference, when you're actually using gloves. The way the gloves come at you, the way the glove feels when you're blocking, right? It just simulates it a lot closer than you would with some of the other equipments we have. Now, obviously, there are drawbacks to this. Even though there is thick padding, the padding's only so thick in there, so when taking power punches, probably can't take too many of those. I'd imagine sooner or later you're gonna fill in your joints, but for some active, training sessions where you wanna work on some speed, at the same time work on some hand drills, these are pretty cool. And the next piece of equipment we're going to go over is another super common piece of equipment you'll see at most Muay Thai gyms, and that's the belly pad, right? So this is used primarily for push kicks, teeps, body punches, and also knees. These for the most part are pretty universal in design. There are some with thicker padding, but for the most part, they're gonna pretty much look the same regardless of what brand you get. They fit on just like a weight belt would, where there's a Velcro on the back. And again, when it comes to training with push kicks, body punches, and knees, I really can't think of anything better than, a nice belly pad, because, the way that it's fitted, it's exactly where, the target area is for those things that I named. And aside from, everything that I mentioned, it makes a really good hand rest as well. Look at that. I just gotta rest my arms there. Next piece of equipment are going to be these thigh kick pads, okay? So these are designed specifically to put on just like pants. Almost like a cowboy, a Thai cowboy. You can wear one of these or both. These are two separate pads that I have on right now. And as I'm sure you can tell by the name, these are primarily for leg kicks, right? So whether it's on the outside or the inside. Okay, and that's what these are for. Now, like I mentioned earlier, for leg kicks, you can always use a suitcase pad, right, which has a handle, but these are just a little more natural to use. Like I said, they fit on as pants, right? I don't have to hold and keep my hands free to hold mitts or pads. And because of the thick padding, I can probably take a pretty good, whack to the leg and, not feel it too much.
Ow! You need me in the nuts.
Right? Maybe like the first couple at least. But again, these are probably not something you're gonna see in a class situation, maybe more so, with a coach that's training on a one-on-one with one of their students. But yeah, thigh kick pads. All right, guys, and the last piece of equipment we're gonna go over today are gonna be these shin guards, right? So again, this is another super common piece of equipment, and just like the name suggests, they're used to protect your shins. So whether the pad holder is holding them or whether you're using them, right, essentially that's what it's for. It's for protection. Okay. Again, these are, like I said, super common. Chances are if you're doing any kind of sparring or if in drilling class, you're going to be asked to use these. Or if you're doing a one-on-one session with a coach, they'll probably use this too, so they can throw some kicks at you. right, without hurting you. These do come in several designs, but you know, the most universal design is probably the ones I'm wearing right now. Essentially, there's, you know, straps on the back and some straps to strap your feet in. You know, they protect, some protect your knees, some are a little shorter. For the most part, to protect the top of your foot, right? Some you can put on as socks. You know, they come in many different sizes, but overall they have, you know, the same goal, and that's to protect your shins and your feet. Alright guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video today, and you have a better idea as to what some of the different types of equipment you might see at a Muay Thai gym does. So if anyone ever brings it up, you know, you can use this video as a reference guide. If you guys enjoyed today's video, hit the like and subscribe button. It's going to go a long way to help our channel out. If there's anything you want to see us cover specifically, please drop a comment below. Until next time, keep training, stay healthy, and be safe.